was going to start something, but then he tells me something while we're walking up here, so I'm going to put him on the spot right away. As you can tell, it's not rehearsed. So you have a report coming out next week on investments in the field, in the space.
Yeah.
Can you give me one or two things?
Yeah, sure.
I put him on
No,
the
I mean,
spot.
I'm glad you're interested. No, so we've been.
I think everybody here is interested too. Or you want to know what's coming out next week? What are you seeing? What's top of mind of the numbers that you're seeing in this space?
Yeah, so happy to share a little bit. For the last 5 years plus now, we've been publishing the Space Investment Quarterly. So it has become the source of record for startup activity and investment trends in the private markets. So it gives you a sense of who's investing, where the money's going, what it's going into, and it really helps to tell a story because a little over 10 years ago, before SpaceX, the market was very limited. There was a handful of defense contractors on the supply side, and then the government, really the US government, as the sole customer on the other. So very limited market. And as we all know, SpaceX removed the barriers to entry and enabled new entrants to come into the market for the first time, which did a lot to stimulate competition, innovation, and basically all of the amazing things that we're here talking about at this event today and tomorrow. So we've seen $280 billion invested into almost 2,000 unique space companies over the last 10 years. And kind of, we're...
So in the last maybe couple quarters, how is that trajectory, or how's that compared to?
Yeah, so it's changed, right? I mean, it's been a difficult time in the financial markets. We're in a liquidity crunch. Kind of the overarching context is that we're 21 months now into this market correction. And I don't think that we're out of the woods yet. We've seen Q3 was notable because we've seen the most number of down rounds, meaning companies that have gone out and raised capital had to come out and raise capital at a lower valuation. And this is kind of like broadly across tech, right?
This is not negative news. I want you to hear this. This is just what he's seeing right here. So I appreciate you sharing that. And not to put you on the spot, but I want them to understand that that's what's going on.
It's actually super positive in our opinion because finally deals are getting done, because over the last 21 months, no deals have been getting done. So they're happening now at a price that people, probably wouldn't have liked to have raised at, but at least the deals are happening now.
Okay.
So that's kind of the backdrop. But in the space capital markets, it's actually a much more positive story. So there were the highest number of rounds getting done in the last 5 quarters. So things are ticking up. And then, broadly across tech and venture markets, we're seeing it's really hard for companies to go out and raise their first round of capital, seed capital, and then go out and raise subsequent Series A capital. The Series A markets have basically just been locked. And it's something around 10% in the venture markets of deals that are actually companies graduating and raising the capital they need to go on to the next step. And in the space capital markets, that's actually happening at twice the pace. So a lot of early stage activity. The front of the funnel is still very healthy, which means that there's, innovation does not recognize market cycles. So we're still seeing a lot of innovative new companies coming out and getting funded. And if you're a space company, it's actually if you hit your early milestones, it's actually easier to graduate to Series A.
So you segued perfectly, I think, into the actual question, which I was ask you. If we're heading down this route, and it seems like, and it can be, when orbit is cheap, easy, and safe, when I say that to you, what do you think of immediately?
Well, Starship. And this is, I wrote a chapter about this in...
Author of the Space Economy.
Thank you, in my book, and this is kind of how I end it on chapter 10, which is, look at the last 10 years and look at what SpaceX has done to the space economy, and look at all of the innovation and all the capital that it's stimulated. All of this is underpinned by SpaceX and their Falcon 9. We are now entering a new phase of infrastructure development. Starship coming online is going to have the same impact as Falcon 9 did a decade or so ago. And so we need to be thinking about what this new world looks like when, the largest vehicle ever built the most affordable vehicle ever built. It's going to change all of the givens about space, that it's expensive and difficult and hard to get to, that every ounce and all like the size of what you're launching and every ounce matters. That's all going to go out the window. Like our relationship with orbit and deep space is going to be fundamentally changed again. Like it's going to be another step change. And what's so interesting as investors, we're looking, like we see this coming, we're taking it as a given that it's going to happen. And we're starting to look for entrepreneurs, founders who are building solutions for this new world. And it's really hard to find them. There's actually, we only have a few on our radar that are building interesting solutions that are built for this new world that we're headed into. And what's so
I want to stop you there,
Yeah.
because we could probably have some entrepreneurs in here and those who know entrepreneurs. What are some tips, sorry to interrupt
Yeah.
you, like what are some tips that you give them to, not just to get on your radar, but things that you want to see as an investor, like, hey, you know, this is what you want to communicate, here's what you want to explain. Is there something that you think that they are not doing completely right, or how they're building it?
Well, it's not so much the founder's fault. I think it's like a human problem that we're looking out. Like we know that this, and the same thing happened with the Falcon 9, right? Like, and it happens with all these sort of technology leapfrog events, like these sort of step change events. We know it's happening, and we know that it's going to have a fundamental impact on everything that we're doing. And we're like, okay, well, let's like now imagine solutions, and we really struggled to do that. It's like, you know, it's like an event horizon. Like you can't see. Like you know it's coming, you know it's there, but you can't see past it. And so, so I guess what we're looking for in founders is for people to understand the market dynamics and understand these changes that are coming. They have a big, you know, they have a vision that capitalizes on the new capabilities that are now available that weren't available previously, and they have a grasp of the technology and the solution, how it fits in. And that's why, you know, a few months ago we made an investment into Impulse Space, Tom Mueller's company, who has a lot of experience at SpaceX, knows what's happening. He's taking Starship coming online as a given and has built a solution for Starship coming online and then building a business that leverages that as a platform. So that's one example, and there's probably only a couple of others.
You know, I bring this up because I think, you know, when I was hearing everybody in the morning and getting everyone to talk to each other, it was good to see everyone kind of know each other, right? I mean, this passion that this group has for it, right? To be able to help others in this, I hate you keep using the word in the space, but in this sector, you know, I think it's important for this thing to grow, especially to reach where it can be. And I think part of it is we say infrastructure, we say these other words, but it's really where it starts at, right? And that's what you're not complaining about it, but you're saying you wish you could see more of it.
Yeah, and I mean, probably at a fundamental level, like the way that we at Space Capital view the opportunity in the space economy is much, much broader than just the infrastructure. We look at GPS as an example of, you know, the most successful space technology in existence. How did that go from being satellites built by the government for the government and military use? Like it was restricted from like to not be used by civilians on purpose. How did that happen? Like how did those walls come down? How did commercial GPS receivers get access to that data and make it available to the tech community, who gave us all the location-based services that we know and love, including Uber Eats that we were just talking about earlier. So we use that as a framework. The infrastructure distribution applications is a framework for looking at how innovation is happening and how it's built in the space economy as a whole. Satellite technology stacks are very interesting. GPS, geospatial intelligence, satellite communications. Like that's where 90% of the action is. And that framework is really helpful in terms of sort of getting your arms around how big this opportunity is for us as investors and for the founders that are building here.
So he says GPS, and then my mind goes, we're in LA and there's traffic. I don't know about you all, but I got hit in traffic all day. Then I started thinking about, we started talking about space traffic. Like, what is that? When I say that, what does that mean to you? I heard laughing. I don't know if you got stuck in traffic, but I'm asking you a question. What's space traffic mean to you?
I mean, it's a big deal. So, and we're in the process, just made an investment and published a blog post a week ago talking about how we're building out a portfolio solution, full stack solution to space traffic management and space situational awareness. So one of our portfolio companies is here. They're a sponsor and they're speaking. Leo Labs has built a network of ground-based radars to track objects in orbit. This is functional satellites, operational satellites, and debris, which is hugely important because there's a bunch of junk up there, particularly in these areas, these clusters where we used to just sort of like throw trash out the window while we were driving down the highway without thinking about it. When there wasn't a whole lot of activity up there, people didn't think about it as much, but today it's a different story. So getting access to the data is really important, particularly when you think about how quickly things are growing. Slow and steady growth for the first several decades. In 2019, there was 800 functional satellites in low Earth orbit. Today, there's 5,000-6,000 with Amazon, and we're soon going into tens of thousands if Amazon and Starlink and the Chinese mega constellations have their way. We're going to be in 100,000 plus satellites operating in low Earth orbit. That is a lot more traffic than what we used to have. So first of all, we need to know where things are, base level, information. We don't have a good grasp on where things are, particularly the small pieces of debris, which can be very harmful. Razor blades in the dishwasher, or washing machine, as we heard earlier. So understanding where things are is very important. And then managing the traffic in space, coordinating at a machine-to-machine level so that satellites can optimize, can have right-of-ways, and can understand how they can navigate and coordinate with other satellites is going to be paramount.
So I know we have a few minutes, but there was something that you said in there with, I think of supply chain in globally here and how it's kind of moved better, more operationally than ever before because of AI and those kind of things. Do you think there's going to be real quick, do you think there's a bigger jump in traffic and the technology using data quicker because we have a better baseline here on land than they go up there?
Oh, interesting. I mean, the parallel that I like to draw is between aviation. So you know how we fly planes east and west in 10,000 intervals, 10,000 feet intervals, and it's because we don't have good connectivity. So we have these massive margins of error. Because a lot of people don't understand that when you fly in a plane, once you go off the coast, everything that you're seeing on that little screen that's telling you where you're going is all just trajectory, projections. It's guessing where you are. You've got these airplanes without connectivity, and so they have to have these huge margins of errors, and that's where we used to be, and where we still kind of are in space, is that we have these massive margins of error because we don't have good data, and we can't. So we're moving to a place where we have much better data, we have much better coordination, and because of that, we're going to be able to fly much closer together. We've got autonomous navigation systems built onto satellites. If you're feeding good data in, then they can navigate amongst themselves, and you can cram a lot more satellites into that space.
So I think what you're saying, not to put words in your mouth, is it will be safer, probably a little more quicker than we think, possibly.
100%. There's a ton of efforts underway. It's top priority of the White House, the G7 summit, you name it. Governments across the world.
So here we go. Ryan's lightning round. Give me one word, one sentence. All right, you ready?
I think so.
Okay. I'm gonna do two. You're okay with that? You don't have a choice.
Yeah.
You're with me up here anyway. So I would say, well, you kind of mentioned Starship, but what is one word will you describe the future Starship?
Transformative.
And what is one word? See, I gave him that one because now he can't use that word. The future of the space economy is. So fill in the blank. I'll give you a chance. The future space economy is.
Transformation.
No. I'm trying to leave him. No, don't clap for him. Don't leave him off the hook. Are you crazy? Give him another one. I'll give you another one. We got 50 seconds. You got 50 seconds.
I mean, a quick sentence on this. So, the space economy is proven to be critical infrastructure. It is playing an increasingly important role in our global economy and will continue to shape the world's largest industries for decades to come. So wherever we are now, however much growth we've seen over the past 10 years, it's only going up from here. So up is the word.
I like that one. So thank you so much. Appreciate you coming up here with me.
Thanks, Chad.